It is Friday. That means that we're creeping up on 49ers Bucks. This is one that I think people have had circled on the calendar for a long, long time. And we've taken so many interesting twists and turns in this 49ers season. What would it be without another major reversal ahead of 49ers Tampa Bay? Tom Brady coming to town, back home to the Bay Area. Has only gotten to play here once since becoming an NFL quarterback, and that was in 2016 at Levi Stadium. Didn't get to do it in 2008. That would have been back at Candlestick, closer to his hometown of San Mateo, because that was, as luck would have it, the one season in Brady's career that he missed due to the ACL tear in week one. But in 2016, he won at Levi's 30-16. Kaepernick was the quarterback of the 49ers then. 16 was obviously the Chip Kelly year. It was the season before Shanahan took over. And that was also obviously before Brady moved from the Patriots in the AFC to the Buccaneers of the NFC. So here we go. There's the game preview today. 49ers versus Buccaneers has our observations and our predictions. We're going to focus more on the quarterback discussion today, centered around Brock Purdy, though. But Brock Purdy's starting debut against Tom Brady's greatness. That is the central matchup, the central theme of this game. Obviously, this is also a mark of a matchup that people anticipated, but will not happen, at least this December. Jimmy Garoppolo, the former backup to Tom Brady in New England, was supposed to take on his former mentor, the former QB ahead of him, after Garoppolo had broken into the league, but that won't happen with Jimmy Garoppolo hurt. But he's still a very salient part of the discussion because Brock Purdy is trying to fill in for Jimmy Garoppolo, just like Jimmy Garoppolo filled in for Tom Brady back in 2016. Coincidentally, that was the year in which Tom Brady last visited Levi Stadium. So Jimmy Garoppolo also visited Levi Stadium in a Patriots uniform when Tom Brady did back in 16, but Garoppolo didn't play. It was all about Brady and his homecoming, a little bit of rain at Levi Stadium on that day. And it looks like there might be some rain in Sunday's game. But let's go through some of the things that we've learned about Brock Purdy this week, because it's been Purdy mania, right? Everybody's talking about Brock Purdy, Purdy this, Purdy that. People finding some nuggets about his practice habits, people looking back into Brock Purdy's past at Iowa State, where he was a 4-year starter. Some people even digging back to the high school years. This always happens when you have a new quarterback start at the NFL level. Everybody wants to leave no stone unturned. They want to go back to the very, very origin story, and they want to see how they might be able to apply it to what's going on right now. And that is, what can Brock Purdy do for the 49ers? Can he keep this team's Super Bowl chances afloat while Jimmy Garoppolo is out? So let's talk about Purdy here, and then we'll go back to the article. I'll post a link to that in a little bit. Maybe Mike will post the link to that in the comment section right now if you want to go ahead and check it out. But what we learned about Brock Purdy this week, one cool thing, he helped Christian McCaffrey learn the playbook. Remember, Christian McCaffrey was traded from the Carolina Panthers to the 49ers in late October. He showed up. He needed to go through a crash course to not only be ready for his first game against the Chiefs, but also to be ready for his second game with a little bit more preparation time against the Los Angeles Rams. And it turns out that it was Brock Purdy, rookie, 7th-round pick, backup quarterback, that sat down with Christian McCaffrey and verbalized a lot of the plays. And Christian McCaffrey, then it was like a memorization exercise for Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey said that it was probably helpful to Brock Purdy to actually verbalize the plays, because the starting quarterback gets to do most of that at practices, and Purdy was still a backup back then. But it obviously helped Christian McCaffrey a lot. And Purdy put in extra time after his allotted work hours to help Christian McCaffrey get up to speed. And oh, how valuable that was, because as you remember, Christian made NFL history, 49ers history, in his second game, just over a week after coming over from Carolina, when he threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, and caught a touchdown pass against the Rams. And Purdy was a big part of that preparation. So we say that Purdy has worked overtime to mentally prepare and to help his teammates mentally prepare, which I think says a lot about him. There's another anecdote. Brock Purdy, after practices, when he was still the backup quarterback, would stay out on the field, and there wouldn't be all too many people left on the field, maybe a few support staffers, and 49ers assistant quarterbacks coach Clay Kubiak. And Purdy, without a football, without any receivers out there, just him and Kubiak, no offensive line, would go through the practice script that Jimmy Garoppolo had just executed against a live defense, right? Not a tackling defense, but a live defense. And actually, Garoppolo had thrown the ball during practice. Purdy would just mentally go through all the reps. He would drop back against air. He would look around for where his receiver would be. Obviously, it would be an imaginary receiver for Purdy, but he was getting it all up here. Mentally, Purdy was getting ready every single week and installing the 49ers game plan in his head just in case his number would be called on Sunday. Obviously, it was called this past Sunday after Jimmy Garoppolo fractured his foot on the first possession of the game. And Purdy had to come in while the 49ers were trailing, right? He came in while the 49ers were down 7-3, and he was one of the key figures in their eventual 33-17 win over the Miami Dolphins. So all that extra preparation, all that extra time put in ended up paying off for Purdy. And now, back to this about Christian McCaffrey, he said it's kind of cool that he was verbalizing all those calls to me about a month ago, and now he's calling the game for real. Now Purdy is about to make his first NFL start, and that first NFL start is going to come against Tom Brady. So those are the couple things that we learned about Purdy, plus this right here. Kyle Shanahan on Brock Purdy. He's got some balls out there. George Kittle on Brock Purdy said he's got some cojones. So he obviously went to a different language to describe the same thing. The 49ers couldn't stop talking about this, it seemed, over the course of the week. And by that, they mean that this guy's got some guts, right? That he could step in that pocket, step up into some throws, and he's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid of the blitz, which is a mandatory skill set and a mandatory type of courage to have to be a successful NFL quarterback. You will get hit as an NFL quarterback, especially in the 49ers scheme, because, they live for some of those free rushers to come in, because a free rusher means an open receiver on the other end because there's one fewer guy in coverage. So you saw it on the 3rd and 10 before halftime. George Kittle springs out on a pass route. Free rusher Jalen Phillips comes in. Brock Purdy has to hit George Kittle while he's getting drilled by Jordan Phillips. He has no other, by Jalen Phillips. He has no other way to execute that play. You have to take the hit. You have to take the bruise. You have to have the courage. And then you have to make the throw with a quick release. And Brock Purdy did just that on 3rd and 10. It ended up setting up the touchdown, or at least sparking the drive that scored a touchdown for the 49ers. Purdy to McCaffrey out of the backfield at the end of the first half. So the 49ers glow about Purdy's courage. They glow about his release, and they're obviously very happy about his work ethic. We've learned stories about that this week. Now, you might ask, well, what are the concerns about Purdy? Because it sounds like he's an all-pro based on what you've said so far. Well, we saw some ups and downs in his first extended action against the Miami Dolphins, right? He wasn't as efficient as Jimmy Garoppolo has been. He had some missed throws. He missed that deeper out to Brandon Ayuk. He obviously, took at least one sack that I thought that he shouldn't have taken when he decided to ditch the pocket backwards instead of stepping up, and it made Mike McGlinchey look bad, but that wasn't Mike McGlinchey's fault at all. This goes back to Purdy's time in college at Iowa State, because he's listed at 6'1", but he's not 6'1". That's the generous listing. So he's shorter than average for quarterbacks. In fact, I posited that if Purdy were 2 inches taller, he would have been drafted significantly higher than the last pick of the 7th round, probably a mid to high round pick if he were 6'3", but he's listed at 6'1", and the height is not that. But premature pocket bailouts were an issue at Iowa State. And that sometimes happens with quarterbacks who are a little bit shorter because they want to be able to see their target, see over the line. So your first instinct, especially if you have a little bit of speed, as Brock Purdy does, Brock Purdy is not a slow quarterback. He definitely has more burst than Jimmy Garoppolo. So if you have a little bit of speed, you trust that, especially against weaker college defenders. And in order to gain more vision, you will improvise a bit. You will try to step outside the pocket. The problem is that unless you have supernatural speed, and even if you do have supernatural speed, NFL defenses do too, and you start doing stuff like that too often at this level, and it's going to get you in trouble. So the play I'm talking about is when Purdy stepped out of the back of the pocket right into a sack from Melvin Ingram against the Dolphins. Plays like that, he needs to trust his presence within the pocket and continue looking downfield. If you need to move, keep your eyes downfield and move up in the pocket. Trust your tackles to be able to block the edge rusher to the outside and create that bubble that is the pocket around you. There's nobody better at doing this in the history of the game than Tom Brady, who Purdy faces this week. Tom Brady averages 2.44 seconds from snap to release. He gets rid of the ball quickly, which is telling you that he's not sitting there bailing the pocket, running around, looking for guys to throw to. He knows the shuffle within the pocket. He's 45 years old, so nobody's acting like he's a speed demon by any stretch of the imagination, because Tom Brady has never been fast. But at that age, Brady is able to be effectively quick within the pocket, not just with his release, but with his footwork and with the way that he positions himself, keeping his eyes down the field. That's something that Purdy is going to have to get better at. Vision from the pocket is something that will come if Purdy gets better at shuffling within the pocket to identify the right eye angles to see downfield. Because again, he's not a 6'3" or 6'4" guy. We're going to see Brady this week, and I think Brady's listed at 6'3", but I can't wait to see Brady in person up in the tunnel there just to get an idea of how tall he is. I'm over 6'5", and I think that Brady with the helmet on is going to be about my height, which, just goes back to the prototypical gunslinger QB, right? Sits back 6'4", 6'5", and just lets it rip. Brady obviously is not chucking the ball all too far downfield. He's always been a master of the short game, but his height has definitely been a huge, huge advantage in terms of his style of play. And finally, with Purdy, he doesn't have great deep arm strength. He does have to plant his feet, get into some of these throws, just like the average quarterback. I mean, there are special guys like Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert who could really flick a wrist and the ball goes 40 yards on a rope downfield. Even Trey Lance has got some insane arm talent like that. Purdy's not going to give you that with the shorter stature. I don't think that's a huge deal, but it's just something to keep in mind when we're talking about strengths and weaknesses. But we do need to be realistic about Purdy's place within the 49ers operation, because I'm seeing, this always happens. The new quarterback is always going to be the most popular person around, especially on social media, which is going to knee-jerk its way to reactionary takes into all directions. If Purdy throws two interceptions this week against Tampa Bay and the 49ers lose, he'll be vilified on social media. But right now, he's being praised on social media. For some reason, people just can't find the actual in between. But it's not going to be easy to replace Jimmy Garoppolo. In fact, I'll go as far as to say this: Brock Purdy almost certainly won't be as good as Jimmy Garoppolo. It would be absolutely shocking if Brock Purdy were as good as Jimmy Garoppolo. And why, you ask? Well, maybe I could sort one of these quarterback charts out for you, just so you could see where Jimmy Garoppolo finished on the quarterback ratings for this regular season. He might be back. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit or in a separate video, but here we go. Here we have our quarterback efficiency chart. I'm going to drag it and put it onto the screen right now. And we scroll down and you can see, sorted by expected points added per play right here: Mahomes, Tagovailoa, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Jimmy Garoppolo, number 5, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, Carr, just go on and on. But Garoppolo in the top 5 of EPA per play. That is not easy to do. There have been several pieces now. I'm not the only one saying this anymore. This goes to people who look at the analytics even more than me. There's a really good one from Kevin Cole yesterday that showed the data, and the data at this point, you can't really argue with the data. Your feelings could try to argue with it, but it's not an objective case that you're making. But the data shows that Jimmy Garoppolo has been efficient regardless of the situation with the 49ers. The only determining variable has been his health. But over the years with San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo has been a top efficiency quarterback, and he's done so even without some of his top weapons in the lineup. He just now got Christian McCaffrey right into the fold, so that's helped the 49ers. But one of the striking things from Kevin Cole's article was we saw that Jimmy Garoppolo over like 300 snaps with neither George Kittle nor Deebo Samuel on the field has been nearly 2x as efficient as when he's had at least one of those guys on the field. That doesn't, prove that the 49ers are better without Kittle or Deebo, but it does disprove the notion that Jimmy Garoppolo is operating only because of the talent around him. And listen, every single quarterback in the NFL is a system quarterback. There is no quarterback at the pro level that is operating outside of an offensive system. All quarterbacks operate in cohesion with a play caller, and the level of effectiveness of that cohesion determines the efficiency of the quarterback, and the efficiency is very correlated with winning or losing a football game. So Jimmy Garoppolo, as you can see here, we'll do it one more time, he's been very, very efficient for the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. And this year he was number 5 in efficiency over his stretch. How many snaps did Jimmy Garoppolo see? 362 dropbacks. If you want to go to the quarterbacks down, Kyle Shanahan finally started embracing passing a little bit more over Garoppolo's final couple of starts because the 49ers have been a better passing team than running team. But we could look over the course of several years of third down data to see where Jimmy Garoppolo ranks in terms of performing on the down where the pass is almost certainly coming. Third down is the quarterback's down. So I'm going to filter this for third down efficiency since 2017, since Jimmy Garoppolo joined the 49ers, and see where he ranks. Oh, there you go. Patrick Mahomes, number 1. Jimmy Garoppolo, number 2. Joe Burrow, number 3. Justin Herbert, number 4. Drew Brees, number 5. So, Garoppolo has been, and look at this. Mahomes is way above everybody else, 0.524. Jimmy Garoppolo is way above everybody else not named Mahomes, 0.301. Burrow is, nearly a full tenth of a point of EPA per play, which is significant behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Then you sort this by success rate. Garoppolo's number 2 behind Mahomes. Mahomes' success rate, 55%. Garoppolo at about 52%. So it's not a debate anymore. It's just a reactionary argument from people that don't like Jimmy Garoppolo for whatever reason. We can get into that at a different time. It's not a debate. Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback. He's been very efficient for the 49ers, and he's been a key driver of the 49ers offensive success. And the reason that we're talking about that right now is because these are the shoes that Brock Purdy has to fill. And we need to be realistic about the expectations surrounding Brock Purdy. To act like he's just going to be able to step in there and deliver top 3 efficiency is not a realistic expectation. Is there a small chance of that happening and he just lights the world on fire? Of course. There's a small chance of, a UFO landing tomorrow too, but it's extremely unlikely that Brock Purdy is going to be able to perform at that level. But we evaluate the 49ers as a team, not just as an offense or not just as a single position. We evaluate the 49ers as a team, and they've been a 3-way juggernaut ever since that Kansas City loss. Let's take a look at this right here. This was part of my article that came out today, but I am going to minimize this so you can see the entire chart. Okay, so zoom in on this if you need to, but this is the EPA per game by phase of the 2022 Super Bowl contenders. So you have offense in this column, defense in this column, special teams in this column, and then you just add up these 3 columns and you have a total to get a gauge of team strength. This is expected points added per game. So this is actually, this is advanced stats, but it's a fairly simple way of illustrating who's strong and who's weak and where they're strong and where they're weak. Darker blue is further above average. Darker red is further below average. These are season-wide totals for all the Tier 1 and Tier 2 NFL teams. As you can see, the Chiefs are blowing everyone out of the water offensively. They're adding 12.6 points per game on offense. That's a touchdown more than number 2, the Eagles at 5.8, right? The Bills at 5.7. The 49ers have a good offense. They're plus 3.8. So they're a little bit worse than these elite offensive teams. But this is over the course of the whole season, including the Trey Lance monsoon game in week 1. The 49ers are plus 3.8. Bengals, a little bit better, plus 4.8. Cowboys in the same ballpark as the 49ers. They obviously had a Cooper Rush starting a few games instead of Dak Prescott. Then you move over to the second column. This is where the 49ers lead the league. They're tied with the Eagles. Their defense is bringing in nearly 6 points a game, plus 5.6 EPA for the 49ers defense. As you can see, the Chiefs are in red. Chiefs defense is below average. And the Cowboys are at plus 6.0. I'm going to get to something here in a little bit. You probably have already spied above the chart what the 49ers have been doing recently, but just keep in mind that these are season-long numbers on the bottom. And then special teams, less of an impact, but it still has an impact. The Chiefs special teams unit sucks this year. They've lost 3.6 points per game on special teams. That's a lot to lose. 49ers, a little bit above average over the course of the whole season. There's more to that I'll talk about in a second. The Bills have been really good on special teams. So you add these three columns together, and you have the totals on the right. And the totals on the right show us the 49ers are plus 9.6 points per game. They're above the Chiefs because even though the Chiefs have a great offense, they've lost points on defense and special teams. The 49ers are right where the Eagles are, 0.2 points better because the Eagles have lost 2 on special teams. They're a little bit behind the Bills, and they're a little bit behind the Cowboys. The Bills and the Cowboys have the 2 highest cumulative rankings here. So, but you get the idea. To be a Super Bowl contender, you've got to be about plus 10 EPA. And if you have a guy like Mahomes who could just take over a game, plus 12.6 EPA on offense, you could see how the Chiefs can win a Super Bowl even with a subpar defense. It makes sense when they have a quarterback that's that supersonic. But here's my main point, and let me put this up right now. The 49ers have been a 3-way juggernaut. Can they maintain that with Brock Purdy? And the 3-way juggernaut they've been has been over the past 5 weeks since that Kansas City loss. I'm going to make this bigger. Take a look at the top now and compare it to the graph on the bottom. Since the Kansas City loss, you could just substitute these numbers into the graph to see what the 49ers averages are since the Kansas City loss. Their offense is up to plus 6.1. So replace 3.8 here with 6.1. Their defense is up to plus 9.1, top in the league. Replace 5.6 with 9.1. See, it'd be way better than even the Cowboys or the Eagles. And their special teams is crushing it. Their special teams is plus 4.0, which would be the best in the league. The 49ers would be essentially dark blue throughout all 3 of these categories. And guess what it would add up to? It would add up to plus 19.2 EPA in this furthest right column. I mean, that is mind-blowing. Again, who's at the top right now? The Cowboys at plus 10.6, the Bills at plus 10.4 expected points added per game. Over the past 5 games, the 49ers have been plus 19.1 expected points per game. They're twice as good. They've been twice as efficient as the 2 top teams in the league. That's how good the 49ers have been as a 3-way juggernaut over the course of the past 5 weeks. So that's what Brock Purdy is stepping into. Brock Purdy has leeway. That's the thing. Brock Purdy, it's going to be almost impossible for him to be as good as Jimmy Garoppolo, fresh out of bed as a rookie starting here. But he doesn't need to be because Jimmy Garoppolo and the defense and the special teams have fueled this insanely efficient team that has been head and shoulders above the rest of the NFL over the past 5 weeks. There's a reason why Kyle Shanahan is saying our team is built for this. Losing Jimmy Garoppolo is tough, but our team is built for this. And that reason is that the 49ers have built up margin for error by being a balanced team. The full chart of this is right here. This is what I made on the article on The Athletic today. I'm going to minimize that so you can see the full thing. This has the top third is this year's Super Bowl contenders. The middle is other teams of interest from this century. And the bottom is the last 5 Super Bowl winners, including the 2019 49ers. So look at the totals on the right here. There's nothing above 11. The top is like plus 10 something over the course of a season. Plus 10.6 the Cowboys have this year is actually the highest number on this entire chart. And that includes the last 5 Super Bowl winners. That includes some other select teams like the Harbaugh 49ers that I put in here, the 2000 Ravens, the 2001 Patriots, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl. So the 49ers right now, their whole season profile is right there with a Super Bowl contender. And again, plus 19.1. Let me emphasize that. Plus 19.1 over the past 5 games. That is juggernaut level. That's way above even all of these Super Bowl winners and Super Bowl contenders that I've picked out from the course of the past 20 plus seasons. So Brock Purdy has leeway. That is the main moral of the story. Now, everybody's asking, well, what if the 49ers are a defense first team, which I think they clearly will be? Well, take a look at this. The 2000 Ravens, you could see terrible offense, the worst offense on this list of contenders. They're minus 4.9 on offense. Their defense was unreal, plus 12.9, and really good special teams too, plus 2.5, made them a plus 10.5 team. So the 49ers right now, the defense plus 5.6 overall. But remember, I said they're plus 9.1 over the course of the past 5 games. That defense can continue getting better, plus 9, plus 10 defense. I think it's possible. We'll see. We'll see what they do. If that defense delivers that, well, then you can afford, and the special teams keeps on delivering what it is right now, plus 3, plus 4 instead of plus 0.2, then you could take a few points away from the offense, even with Brock Purdy starting, and you could still end up near plus 10. That's the glory of where the 49ers are at right now. They have a ton of leeway at plus 19.1. So hopefully you enjoy some of these metrics. We're just trying to look at this in a smarter way. The reason I put the 2001 Patriots on here is because Tom Brady's first season starting, they weren't good offensively. See, they're plus 0.6. Maybe that's what we can expect from Brock Purdy, plus 0.6. 49ers are plus 3.8 this year with Garoppolo, and that's the first game with Lance too. Maybe they're plus 6.1 on offense over the past 5 games. So I think it's reasonable to stay above where the Patriots were in 01, right? Still be above average, plus 0.6. And then the defense is way better, and the special teams can be way better for the 49ers. And that is their formula to stay in contention. So the 49ers are absolutely still alive. By the way, if you think that's too mathy, well, it's got to be mathy to be analytical. And Vegas looks at stuff like this. And Vegas hasn't dropped the 49ers Super Bowl odds all too much. Now, one of the reasons that they haven't is that Jimmy Garoppolo might potentially come back. So, this is where we shouldn't get it twisted. The goal for Brock Purdy is to succeed for as long as he possibly can to build a bridge back to Jimmy Garoppolo. And maybe building a bridge back to Garoppolo ends up having to be building a bridge all the way to the Super Bowl if Garoppolo has got some setbacks. But I did talk to a very respected foot and ankle specialist, the head of the program at UC Davis, Dr. Eric Giza. He's actually worked with Bob Anderson, who's the top foot specialist for professional athletes in the U.S. And this is the article that I wrote about Jimmy Garoppolo. He might be back sooner rather than later. It's actually probably likely that Kyle Shanahan is underselling the prospectus of Jimmy Garoppolo's potential return so that he can over-deliver, right? Undersell to over-deliver. But the thing is, you can't really worry about Jimmy Garoppolo right now because the right now is Brock Purdy. We know that Garoppolo's not available right now. The right now means the 49ers have to deliver on efficiency charts like this. They have to stay afloat offensively so they can go to the Super Bowl. And they want to keep that juggernaut going even with Purdy as the quarterback. But I'm just saying, let's be realistic about Purdy's place within that 49ers operation. Purdy, Brady, Garoppolo, the big show. So this weekend, we're going to see maybe a little bit of rain, but we're still going to see some passing. Purdy threw 37 times. Somebody was saying, oh, just wait till Purdy has to use his arm to beat another team. How could somebody say that right after Purdy threw 37 times in his first extended action? He already has used his arm to beat a team. So Purdy can throw. We know that. Purdy's got, another big deal that a lot of people try to discount is the college experience. You talk about cojones and you talk about playbook mastery and knowing how to play the position. That goes back to the fact that Brock Purdy has 4 years of college starting experience under his belt. He knows how to command the huddle. I talked about stuff that we learned about Brock Purdy, that he's worked overtime, that he helped Christian McCaffrey learn the playbook. You can add on to that he commands the huddle. He's already yelling at people in the huddle. George Kittle was talking about it. Trent Williams was talking about it. I think he even told Deebo Samuel to pay closer attention or something yesterday. That was from Tim Kawakami's podcast with Trent Williams. But George Kittle wouldn't name who he barked at in the huddle the other day. But Brock Purdy literally said, hey, shut up. Listen to my play call. And everybody did shut up and they listened to Brock Purdy in the huddle. So even as a 22-year-old rookie, By the way, Brock Purdy was 1 year old when Tom Brady replaced Drew Bledsoe in 2001. But even as a 22-year-old rookie, Brock Purdy has grabbed command of the 49ers operation, which should lend more confidence to his ability to just keep the 49ers afloat. Again, the homework assignment I don't think is too big for Brock Purdy. You can appreciate what Jimmy Garoppolo has done, which has been awesome this year. The offense has roared while simultaneously saying that the 49ers defense and special teams has made the job easier for Brock Purdy. Jimmy Garoppolo plus the defense and special teams and all those 49ers weapons on offense created a juggernaut. Now the 49ers are just trying to stay afloat as contenders, and they're trying to fight 1 week at a time. That's how the NFL has to work. All right, I'm going to open it up to some questions. By the way, we hit 25,000 subs. Thank you to everybody. 25,000 in a very short amount of time. If you want to support the channel, support the work that I'm putting out, go ahead and check out this article, 49ers versus Buccaneers. Brock Purdy's starting debut against Tom Brady's greatness. I'm copying this and I'm pasting it into the comment section. Go ahead and check it out. I would very much appreciate if I think we have a Christmas deal probably right now. Would very much appreciate if you subscribe to The Athletic, checked out my work there, because that's where you're going to get all the good stuff, right? That's where you're going to get stuff like this, the EPA breakdowns, the quotes about Christian McCaffrey from Chris Furster, the huddle insight from George Kittle into Brock Purdy. This is 2,000 words of goodies, plus our 49ers Buccaneers predictions. So make sure that you subscribe to The Athletic. And thank you all for subscribing there and also for joining me along the ride here, because it's all social media. It's all a way to connect with you. And 25,000 people in such a short amount of time, I'm extremely grateful. So thank you for that. Subscribe to The Athletic. There you have the article. I'm going to go back to the comment section. It's grown more than tenfold. It's grown 25,000-fold. It's been awesome. Is Janoris Jenkins going to rotate in with the quarterback soon? If there's an injury, yeah. But right now, Deommodore Lenoir is playing good football. Deommodore Lenoir is targeted 5 times this past week, and that was against the Dolphins, and everybody thought he was going to get cooked, and he only gave up 1 catch. So put some respect on Deommodore Lenoir's name. He's been really good for the 49ers. Realistically, what am I expecting from Purdy versus Tampa Bay's defense? This is a really good question, because remember, Miami's defense ranked number 17 DVOA, and this Tampa Bay defense ranks number 8. So you're going from bottom half defense to top 10 defense. It's a big difference. Todd Bowles is going to throw a ton of blitzes at Purdy and the 49ers. Purdy has shown he could beat blitzes, but all it takes is one to completely derail a game. You have to consistently beat these blitzes. And Purdy we need a bigger sample size to see if he can do that. We need to see if he could beat standard pressure when another team is just dropping, 7 or 8 into coverage. What happens if in one of his tackles loses? Or, can he step up in the pocket and make his offensive tackles look good if the blocks are indeed executed the way they're supposed to be? I mean, there are a lot of things that we just need a bigger sample size on to see how Purdy executes. We need to see if that accuracy continues. One thing that the 49ers are really impressed with, and I've talked to players about this, is his ability to throw on the run. They say that Purdy is the 49ers' most accurate passer on the run. So let's not forget, I was talking about Brock Purdy's attributes earlier. Let's not forget that he has 4.8 speed, which is nothing to scoff at for a quarterback. He's faster than Jimmy Garoppolo. They might add some bootleg action into the mix because he can throw well off the run. Shanahan doesn't want him to bail the pocket too early. That's something that, would cause the 49ers offense to skip structure. Skipping structure is not good in the Shanahan offense unless you're a 4-2 guy, and Purdy is not a 4-2 guy. And even if you are a 4-2 guy, Lance is not a 4-2 guy, but even the 49ers want Trey Lance to play within structure. So it's important that he stays within the structure of the offense, but executes against Todd Bowles' defense within that structure. We need more of a sample size to find out. Now, if you want me to put an exact points number, I don't think that the 49ers are going to go crazy scoring in this game, because this is a top 10 defense. I get it. No Shaq Barrett. So maybe the Bucs aren't as strong as they've normally been defensively, but they still got Vita Vea. They got talent on this defense. Let's be honest. Levante David. You could go up and down the names on this defense, right? And you're like, oh boy. Plus Todd Bowles is a great coordinator. So you if you're the 49ers, you can't go out there expecting Purdy to light the world on fire. You want him to stay as mistake-free as possible. You want to make some big plays against the blitz. You want him to set up some scoring drives, field goals, touchdowns, whatever. And you want to give the defense enough of a chance against Tom Brady to win this game. 17-13 might happen in this game. And if it does, 49ers fans should be thrilled about it because, again, this is a 7th-round pick making his first career start against Tom Brady. By the way, Tom Brady's 6-0 in his career in games where the other team has started its quarterback making his NFL debut. So 49ers trying to make that 6-1. He did a ton of passing on the run at Iowa State. I mean, it's kind of Purdy's specialty almost. So they're going to move him around. There's going to be some boot action. There's going to be some there will be a little bit of scrambling probably back there because you're not going to perfectly identify every single blitz and have a pocket response to every single pressure. There might be some backyard football, right? And we saw a really good throw to Deebo Samuel on kind of a off-script running situation from Brock Purdy against Miami. I'm not saying totally avoid that, but obviously Shanahan's going to want him to play in structure as much as possible. And the good news is that Shanahan can create structure where Purdy can move a little bit. After watching the Miami game, do you think that Tua just missed a lot of open guys and had a bad game, or do you think that Tua's performance was a result of the defense? It was absolutely a result of the defense. I think people saying otherwise just don't know the game. I mean, it's not. You look at Tua Tagovailoa's performance in every other game except for that one, and he's hitting those passes. You don't necessarily have to have a guy in your face on every single play to get sped up. A, that can happen once in a game, and you get sped up. But B, coverage can also speed up a quarterback. It's not just pass rush. And if Fred Warner is 6'4", patrolling the middle of the field, knocking passes 20-plus yards downfield away like he did on that attempt to Trent Sherfield on the first 3rd down of the game, that will speed a quarterback up. Tua Tagovailoa's bread and butter, his happy zone to throw to was and still is the intermediate portion of the field, the intermediate middle of the field. He's completed more passes there than any other quarterback in the NFL by a wide margin. Fred Warner knocked away a pass with an amazing PBU on the first 3rd down of the game. Tua Tagovailoa was not the same quarterback after that play. That sped him up. He's like, oh, crap. A 6'4" middle linebacker, those don't, exist, right? I mean, outside of Fred Warner, those are really rare. A 6'4" middle linebacker dropped that far, knocked that pass away, almost intercepted it. I better think twice about going there. And as soon as you think twice, you get sped up. As soon as you think twice, and that throw that normally is there isn't there, it changes everything. This is not a video game. This is not Tua Tagovailoa dropping back, hitting a button on a controller, and that having the pass drop in there. This is highly orchestrated need for cohesion. It's organized chaos. And if a defense is as good at some of the things that the 49ers do, they're going to affect other quarterbacks. Tua was not the first quarterback to have his worst game against the 49ers. So I think it's really, really simplistic to say he was just missing passes because his arm angle was off for no reason. I mean, that's ridiculous to, I think, even imply when you think about it. These are professionals. He's missing passes because the factors around him, which is the defense and the pass rush. What are my thoughts if the 49ers can't bring Kinlaw to the active roster for the playoffs? Defense is doing great without him. Well, you want to keep on stacking depth. They just lost Hassan Ridgeway. That's a big loss because that's more defensive tackle depth down. So, I mean, if Kinlaw can't come back for the playoffs, you got to hope you get something from T.Y. McGill. They worked out a defensive tackle, Davidson. Yeah, they worked out Davidson this week, a defensive tackle, Marlon Davidson. You hope he can come back. You hope you can get a little bit from him. But if he can't, then you save that IR return for somebody else. So right now, you only have 2 candidates that Kyle Shanahan has, said have a chance to come off of IR, Elijah Mitchell and Javon Kinlaw. Everybody obviously talking about Trey Lance. If that's something that would happen, it wouldn't be until like the very, very end of the run, right? Because they're going to treat Lance with overt caution, right? They've ruled him out for the season. So everybody keeps on talking about that, but the thing is, they only have those 2 IR spot return from IR designations open, and if you don't use one on Kinlaw, that would open one up for somebody not named Elijah Mitchell. But as you can see, the 49ers kept Garoppolo and Hassan Ridgeway off of IR because they're also trying to leave the door open for potential returns for both of those players. I'm hoping to make it down for a cold swim today. I have to get down to practice first. I have to leave in a few minutes, get down to Santa Clara. Do I think that Mike McGlinchey is the weak side? Well, yeah. I mean, he's obviously Trent Williams is better than Mike McGlinchey. The right side of the offensive line is worse than the left side. Aaron Banks has had a couple pressures allowed. He's had some more struggles. Still hasn't given up a sack at left guard. 49ers O-line, by and large, pass protection has been much better than in the past. I know they were bad against New Orleans, but the pass protection, it should be encouraging. How do they get better at right tackle? Well, you shield it as much as possible with some of the plays that you call, the release times from your quarterbacks. So both Garoppolo and Purdy seem to be capable of really quick releases. You give McGlinchey chip blocking help, establishing the run game. The 49ers haven't been great at that this season, but establishing the run game helps. And having Christian McCaffrey as an outlet man of the pass game helps. I don't think this is a revolutionary thought. I think Christian McCaffrey should be getting fewer handoffs. I think Jordan Mason should be getting more of that workload, and Christian McCaffrey should be used more in the pass game. I think Christian McCaffrey is comparatively a lot better in the short pass game. Hell, even the long pass game, Garoppolo hit him on that nice 33-yarder down the sideline. He'll roast a linebacker any day, or a safety. Christian McCaffrey is much more of an asset in that regard, less injury chance, and then Jordan Mason, who runs like Marshawn Lynch, can be your guy that's pounding the line of scrimmage. So there are many different ways to accentuate Mike McGlinchey's strengths and minimize his weaknesses. And, establishing that run game is definitely one of them. Keep Kittle into block for Purdy or weapon over the middle. Kittle should not be blocking for Purdy if the opposition's blitzing, and Todd Bowles blitzes a lot. Because if they're blitzing, you're just playing into their hand by keeping Kittle back to block. Blitzing means there's going to be openings on the back end. You need to attack those openings on the back end, trust your quarterback to get the ball out in time, and burn the blitz. So I don't think that we're going to see too much blocking from George Kittle in this game. I think he needs to be a viable target for Brock Purdy. Hello back to Denmark. That's awesome. Denmark probably 9 hours ahead, so I'm guessing 7:45 p.m. on Friday. Hope everybody is having a fun Friday evening in Denmark. All couple of our viewers in Denmark. That's awesome. I do expect that Jordan Mason's role will grow. I mean, Jordan Mason's been running hard. He's impressive. He bruises defenses. You don't want him to run too much. You don't want that role to grow exponentially because he's got to develop a bit of a callus, right? Especially with his running style, 220 plus pounds. He's ramming into people. You don't go from 5 carries to 25 carries, right? You rather see it go from 5. You're just, at that point, you're exposing him to a lot of potential injury. Germany, awesome. Yeah, a lot of people watching on Friday evening. It's a good time to do a show, I guess. Best stadium that I visited so far belongs to Atlanta. I love Atlanta Stadium. It gets the edge over SoFi because they're way more chill with the security there. They're not like, oh, you can't step here, you can't step there. And the concessions at Atlanta are awesome. The concessions are, they signed a contract, all the vendors that are in that stadium, that they have to price their food and their drinks the same as they would in their locations outside the stadium. So you have outside food prices in the nicest stadium with that, opening in the roof. Like Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium was really, really impressive. We got Turkey. Hello to Turkey. I'm sure Turkey's 10 hours ahead, right? 8:45 p.m. in Turkey. Istanbul is one of my favorite cities in the world. I often tell people it's top 3. I obviously love San Francisco. I mean, this is the home base during the football season, right? Is San Francisco. Obviously, love Prague. That's my second home, I would say. That's where my mom's side of the family is from. Prague is unbelievable. If anybody is watching from Prague, please comment right now. And then obviously, there are several amazing cities in Europe. There's some cool cities on the East Coast in the United States, but you look at a combination of everything, look no further than the largest city in Europe, and that's Istanbul. It is sweet, and it spans 2 continents. You cross the Bosphorus and you're in Asia, but I've never seen more rooftop bars and just more rooftop activity than in Istanbul. It's just so big, but also dense at the same time. And I mean, multicultural. Obviously, it's kind of a clash of different parts of the world, but in a peaceful clash, which is really cool, like a coexistence that's really fascinating to me. And the kebabs that you'll have in Istanbul are absolutely top notch. I mean, the street food in Istanbul is so good. Anyway, everybody, Turkish Airlines is first class as well. So get on down to Istanbul if you can. And hello to my viewers over there. Anybody watching in Prague? It'd be awesome if you were. Yes, the turtleneck game. I just got the turtleneck about a week or 2 ago. Food supply. Sweden is here. Like all of Europe is on today. This is so cool. So I guess Friday, late morning Pacific time is when people like these shows to be done. I think Tampa Bay has more to prove in this. Well, now the 49ers might have more to prove in this game. We know who Tampa Bay is. Tampa Bay's a contender, but they're not great because they're aging, just like Brady. They've had some injuries. They're not as good as their Super Bowl team. I mean, that's who Tampa Bay is. Like, I don't know if they need to prove more, prove less than that. The 49ers, because of the Garoppolo injury, all of a sudden the book reopens on them having to prove themselves, right? Quarterback is the most important position. You have to show that you're okay at quarterback. And, the Bucs have had a week now to prepare for Brock Purdy. So we're going to see how they prepare for Brock Purdy and how they, how he does against the defense that's geared up for him. Because that's all a big deal. So the 49ers do have something to prove this weekend. I mean, Janoris Jenkins has looked like Janoris Jenkins. Remember, he's 34 years old. We're not going to be able to get a great read on Janoris Jenkins until he actually plays a game. He picked off Jimmy Garoppolo last year in Tennessee. Jackrabbit Jenkins, they call him. And it's better news for the 49ers if they don't need this guy. If Deommodore Lenoir keeps on playing well, building confidence, and Charvarius Ward and Lenoir stay healthy, they won't need Janoris Jenkins, and they'll be fine. The 49ers do need to prove they can win without Garoppolo. That is true. No, I do not think that Brock is like Mac Jones. He's shorter than Mac Jones, and he's faster than Mac Jones. I definitely I don't agree with that assessment. I think Brock Jones has got a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo in him and how he's able to handle blitzes, but he's got a little bit more speed. A little bit more speed than Garoppolo and definitely than Mac Jones. I think Jones and Garoppolo probably comparable in the speed department. Jones is younger, obviously. Hufanga, I think, has had some slip-ups in coverage. Remember, this is a question about how Talanoa Hufanga has been playing, by the way, if you're not watching, if you don't see the question. The 49ers were the first, 3 or 4 games of the season, maybe in the first 5, they had 2 safeties ranked in the top 5, Hufanga and Tashawn Gibson. The safety play has eroded a bit to where, I said it yesterday, the 49ers have an awesome collection of edge rushers. Bosa leads the way, number 1, pass rush productivity. They got 3 guys with Amenahu and Ebicom included in the top 5. Then you have Greenlaw and Fred Warner. So you have, two excellent linebackers who are both ranked in the top 10 of PFF grade. You have Charvarius Ward, who's ranked in the top 10 at corner. You have Diomero Lenore coming on. Safety's dropped a little bit. And I think Hufanga's still doing a lot of good stuff. Obviously, he's forcing some takeaways, which is huge for the 49ers. But he's got to be a little bit more disciplined in coverage. They've gotten beat deep a couple times with Hufanga taking the bait right on some of the intermediate shorter passes. And Tashawn Gibson is 32 years old. So, he was a little slow on that first touchdown that we saw to Trent Sherfield. So the safety play for the 49ers, I think, started hot, went down, and, has been up and down. And they need to stabilize and kind of climb back up now to end the season. And I think they will. With Eric Armstead back, it's going to make the back end look better. Armstead was on a pitch count against the Dolphins, so we can expect him to further, assert himself moving forward. You do want Javon Kinlaw, and you want that entire line to be as healthy as possible because it's going to help that back end out. But, I think that Hufanga has been playing well generally this year, but he's also been a first-year starter, and there has been some steps back to go along with the steps forward, but it's going to be about how the 49ers finish moving forward. Yeah, the Bucs injuries are important to consider, though. Tristan Wirfs is not going to be playing in this game. He's still out for a couple more weeks with an ankle injury. Talk about Brady. Protection has been key for him in Tampa Bay. Wirfs and Ryan Jensen, the center, he got hurt way early in the season. This Bucs O-line is not as good as it has been in the past. The key is to force Brady to hold on to the football a little bit longer than 2.44 seconds. Otherwise, the line matchups don't matter. I think Purdy's probably somewhere between 5'10 and 6'1. I don't think he's 5'10. But yeah, he's shorter. He's not six. Players are generally, spruce up their listings a little bit. And I think that affects Purdy's play, but he's fast, and 49ers have to design an offense around his strengths, but he also has to, overcome some of his physical limitations. And he's obviously done a really good job of that through college ball. I think he did a good job of that against the Dolphins, and the NFL is going to test him in new ways. And that continues this Sunday against Tampa Bay. All right, guys, this is the article. It's up on the screen. Subscribe to The Athletic. I have to head down to Levi Stadium. Welcome to our 2022 49ers coverage. Maybe it's a little late to be saying that, but those of you who are new here, thank you to everybody who joined. We're over 25,000 subscribers. So on the day that we hit 25K, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that sub button right now. Hit that like button as well. Get this out there and check out this big preview. 49ers-Buccaneers, Brock Purdy's starting debut against Tom Brady's greatness. Thank you to everybody for watching. Hit that like and hit that sub button. I will see you from Levi Stadium not too long from now. Going to hit one-on-one right now. Come at you with some updates from 49ers practice. Everybody take care on this beautiful Friday. Thanks again for all your support.